Welcome back. In a world where our behaviour is constantly scrutinised, it seems manners have fallen by the wayside. But is chivalry really dead?
It's 7:30 a.m. and I board a busy train headed for the CBD. The carriage is packed and there's a young man listening intently to his headphones. He sees me, but he just doesn't care and decides to keep staring straight ahead. Thankfully, Carol has a far more successful beginning. On her first ride, she's offered a seat as soon as she boards the carriage. And then same again on train number 2. Meanwhile, I've gotten off at Wynyard Station and I'm faced with the same nonchalance on the platform as I was on the train. I even took my blazer off to make it even more obvious that I'm growing a human. I wait there for a few minutes for the next train and, you guessed it, nothing. All 3 commuters glued to their devices.
It's so easy to disappear into your iPhone, and to me that's almost like a mask you're putting up so you don't have to even deal with anyone else in your vicinity.
I board 3 more trains. One man stands up after a few minutes after finally looking up from his phone. On the next, a woman stands up eventually, but not for me, only because it's her time to get off. By the 3rd train, we're at the back end of peak hour. The trains are full, but not nearly as jam-packed. And yet still, no one stands.
And it's incredibly disappointing that the young men were not standing up, because you know what? If anything, this is their moment to stand up, and this is their moment to show that there is a change taking place.
We are invincible.
It's 2018 and the Me Too revolution has swept the globe. And in the name of equality and modern feminism, women are proving everywhere that we deserve to be on a level playing field. But has it got men second-guessing their actions? And has it resulted in a crisis in chivalry? 9 Honey's Shelly Horton.
So I've had a couple of my male friends say that sometimes they're second-guessing themselves as to whether or not they should act with chivalry. So if they do stand up on a train for a woman, maybe she's not pregnant, you know, what will happen? That will cause a furor. But even if it's someone who's very obviously pregnant, what if, you know, they're going to be offended that I stand up? So I can see that point of view, but I would advise men out there to go with your gut instinct and choose kindness.
Turns out I'm not the only heavily pregnant woman being ignored on public transport. In February this year, Daily Telegraph journalist Carly Rutherford penned a column for her paper venting her frustration about never being offered a seat on her daily bus commute from Coogee to the city. In March, Jada Chapman was 27 weeks pregnant and became so frustrated catching crowded trains to her Brisbane office job and not getting offered a seat, she started taking photos to prove her point. She was particularly loath to discover even an employee of Queensland Rail hogging the priority seating. And in New Zealand, Herald journalist Bridget Purcell began filming her daily bus commute after getting sick of no one offering her a seat day after day.
So I've been on 6 train rides so far and only twice has someone stood up for me. Most people are buried in their phones and haven't realised that I'm there, but there have been some occasions where people have realised and they've just decided to ignore me anyway.
But back to 80-year-old Carol, who, I'm happy to report, has had the completely opposite experience to me. Carol boards train number 3 at Central, where it's particularly hectic.
Thank you.
But politeness prevails once again, and a man immediately offers Carol his seat.
Everybody got up for me, ladies and men, and even seats on the station I got a seat, so I'm very fortunate. Well, some of the men don't bother to stand up, but then the older men do. Tonight there were quite a few young ladies stood up for me, and I was very thrilled about that. I think that shows that they're learning.
But as we've seen today, some of us still have a long way to go. Maybe we should be taking lessons from Carol's friend at her nursing home.
We have chappies where I'm retired at, and they move the chairs out for the ladies and they take them on the lift and all that sort of thing. Chivalry is not dead, it's alive and well.